Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so today we will continue with chapter 9 on the Nevermind Game book, which was written by Sasana Dipika Ven Khanti Khemaji. So we will read half of chapter 9 today, and then next session we will read the rest of chapter 9. So chapter 9 is a pretty long-ish kind of chapter. And here Venerable Khemaji is going into details on the Buddha's views on this teaching of the process of the Nevermind Game. Okay, so I will just expand this window a little bit so that it's a little bit bigger. All right. So chapter 9, the Buddha's views on his teachings. This section offers some support for the Nevermind Game based on the lessons the Buddha taught his monks nearly 2,600 years ago. So Q asks, is there any sutta lesson support for the Nevermind Game practice beyond the steps of right effort or right striving? And Venerable Khemaji says, yes. We all have untamed minds to begin with. There is a little sutta that comes out of a book called the Anguttara Nikaya Book of One's fourth part, named the Adanta Vagga. So that's in AN4, Book of One's fourth part, by way of Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, printed by Wisdom Publications. In this sutta, Buddha Gautama declared an untamed mind to be harmful for us versus a tamed mind that is beneficial for us. The sutta is short, so I will share it below in full and then take it by sections. It reads, I do not see anything so completely harmful as the untamed mind. Indeed, an untamed mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as the tamed mind. Indeed, a tamed mind conduces to great benefit. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the unguarded mind. Indeed, an unguarded mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as the guarded mind. Indeed, a guarded mind conduces to great benefit. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the unprotected mind. Indeed, an unprotected mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as a protected mind. Indeed, a protected mind conduces to great benefit. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the uncontrolled mind. Indeed, an uncontrolled mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as the controlled mind. Indeed, a controlled mind conduces to great benefit. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the untamed, unguarded, unprotected, uncontrolled mind. Indeed, an untamed, unguarded, unprotected, uncontrolled mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as a tamed, guarded, protected, and controlled mind. Indeed, a tamed, guarded, protected, and controlled mind conduces to great benefit. So I forgot to mention earlier, so when reading the suttas here, it's Buddha Gautama that is stating the sentences. So I here refers to Buddha Gautama himself. And also, for those who are not familiar with the style of how the suttas are recorded, many times the Buddha understood very well the value of repetition, because obviously he had knowledge about how the mind can be trained well. And one of the ways is through repetition. So we see a lot of repetitive patterns in the suttas or in the discourses. And so this is one very good example of where there is a lot of repetition. So in terms of each paragraph, it is repeated, except for the difference in terms of the type of mind, untamed, unguarded. And even after going through untamed, unguarded, unprotected, uncontrolled, the Buddha Gautama again repeats all those qualities of the mind, so to speak, or states of mind in the last paragraph by repeating them again. So this is a classic example of how the Buddha used repetition when he teaches in terms of the mind management or the mind training tools. Okay, so Q asks, well, gee, that's nice, but wouldn't this mean more to me if I knew what untamed and tamed, unguarded and guarded, unprotected and protected, and uncontrolled and controlled mind mean? And Venerable Khema said, this is true. So I have created 4 notes below to help you understand these states of mind better, as mentioned in the sutras. Okay, so note 1, untamed and tamed mind. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the untamed mind. Indeed, an untamed mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as the tamed mind. Indeed, a tamed mind conduces to great benefit. So here, Venerable Khema is going to explain in detail the definition of tamed versus untamed mind. Okay, and she gives a lot of examples. So when you look at yourself and people around, have you ever noticed how most people have minds that jump around from subject to subject or thought to thought? Our minds can get overcrowded this way and exhausted due to the mental proliferation it causes. It's like a monkey jumping around from one tree to another. That is what an untamed mind is like. It jumps all over the place and can't concentrate on one task. It has trouble resting. The problem is that such a mind can't think about a statement without automatically comparing it to 10 similar past experiences and then reacting to every contact that occurs. So this is interesting on how the untamed mind, or some might say the monkey mind, works. So whenever it thinks of something, automatically it will start to compare that thought with a number of past experiences. And then based on that comparison, all this is happening in the mind like super quick. And so an untamed mind will then react to every contact, in this case, the contact through the sense bases, whether it's something you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, or think, okay? So it never seems to pause and respond to what is only here and now in the present time. With a mind constantly being pulled away from its present time activity, your productivity suffers. This overthinking and lack of focus hurts clear understanding of incoming information. It leads to assumptions being made without full information, inaccurate communication, and relationship conflicts. So what is conflict? So the definition of conflict is when a person takes action based on assumptions without sufficient information. And we probably encounter this every day wherever we go, because especially nowadays, I think, because people are more and more seemingly in a hurry all the time, always rushing from one task to another or going from one place to another. And so quite often, more often than not, people just, based on the contact that they get and the information and how they use that incoming information, they make assumptions based on past experiences, and they just jump to conclusions quite immediately and then react based on that. And this seems to be quite more and more prevalent in today's society because everyone says they're short of time, and so nobody wants to be a little bit more patient, to dig a little deeper, to really find out what is going on in reality. Yeah, and that is why we have so much conflict in society today. Okay, so a tamed mind is still, it is more collected. It is confident because it has knowledge of how things actually work. It is uncluttered. It can do one task at a time more easily. It is like a pool that is clear, balanced, ready to receive new content and decide how to respond one step at a time. This kind of a mind has no fear because it understands how life works. The pressure of uncertainty is gone. So that's really nice. It's a very nice kind of mind. It's a very nice state to be in because it's not confused, it's cleared, it's not cluttered. It's focused on one task at any one time. Finish this task, go to the next one, finish that task, go to the next one. Very clear, very balanced, happy. So ideally, we can practice this Nevermind game till our mind is tamed in that state. Okay. So the first thing you can do in the Nevermind game is to just experience the difference between a monkey mind and a still mind. Watch your mind to understand this difference. You will notice when the mind is still versus when there is rapid thinking going on. Never mind. Let go of the rapid thinking. Relax your head, smile, and come back again. Slow down. See what it's like to be clear again. So here, I think, and this is just my humble opinion, Venerable Khema is re-emphasizing again and again that even in a state, we will venture into, at some point, sometimes, monkey mind state for whatever reason, based on some contact that came across us. And so whenever we notice it, all we have to do is, again, play the game. Never mind, let go of that monkey mind state, then relax the head, smile, and come back again. So the most important thing is to have clear comprehension of what meditation and mindfulness really is. And we covered that last week, chapter 7 and 8. And by using those tools, our supportive friends, those 7 enlightenment factors or awakening factors, we can use them again and again to help support us in this process of utilizing this Nevermind game every day as much as possible. Note 2, unguarded and guarded mind. I do not see anything so completely harmful as the unguarded mind. Indeed, an unguarded mind conduces to great harm. I do not see anything so completely beneficial as the guarded mind. Indeed, a guarded mind conduces to great benefit. What does this mean? Guarded, unguarded mind. If we don't know the difference between an unwholesome mind and a wholesome mind, how will we let it go? Or how will we let go? So this is important to know because in the process of the Nevermind game, letting go is the second step in the process, in the game. So what Venerable Khema is really emphasizing here is, in the first place, if we don't even understand the difference between what is a wholesome mind and what is an unwholesome mind, how will we even know when to let go? So having that knowledge in the first place is important. Okay. And if we don't know how things work, we tend to mimic how everyone around us is reacting. And we do the same thing. that is how we grew up. It's a normal human habit. And we see this most prevalent in children, especially the younger children, because when a child is in the early stages of development, really young, the people that they are mostly around with are their parents or their siblings, if they have siblings. And so there really isn't anyone else. And it's a normal habit of all human beings that we tend to mimic. And we can see a lot of times children mimicking their parents' behavior or reaction towards different situations. So this is really a normal human being behavior, so to speak. Okay. So the truth actually is that everyone does the best they can with the information they have, the way they understand it, at the time they take action. Okay. Unfortunately, not everyone is willing to look at things this way. And as a result, we still have assumptions and misunderstandings that lead to serious conflicts. There are times when we find ourselves drifting around and reacting to whatever we come in contact with. Sometimes we don't even know why we act the way we do. So when we find ourselves reacting more and more and really quickly and drifting around, that's when we actually have probably lost a little bit of our right mindfulness and just react to whatever comes into play. And if we are not sharp enough to notice that, and we get carried away, and sometimes that can unfortunately lead to quite serious misunderstandings, quarrels, arguments, and all sorts of conflicts. So when a pleasant feeling arises through one of our sense bases, we might delight in it, welcome it, and want to hold on to it and think about it more personally. We don't want to let go. If we personally like or dislike something, then desire or aversion comes up in the mind, and we begin to see how life can feel like a push and pull game. So here it's important to note, Venerable Khema is going back to the links of dependent co-arising or dependent origination. So when a feeling arises based on a contact that happens, can be a pleasant feeling, it can be a painful feeling, it can be a neither pleasant nor painful feeling. And after the feeling arises, then there is the craving that comes to be. So there is the, if it's a pleasant feeling, then there is the I like it. Because the I takes that pleasant feeling as me, mine, taking it personally. And if it's something that is a unpleasant feeling, then the dislike of wanting to push it away or become averse to it comes into the mind very quickly. And so we see how if we're not mindful enough, we're just constantly having this push and pull, wanting something, not wanting something, liking something, disliking something throughout the day, throughout our lives, if we're not sharp enough to pick it up. If we keep thinking about some attraction or aversion without even noticing that we are not fully present here and now, it can become difficult to stay on track. Maybe we don't know about guarding the mind. This isn't unusual. Why shouldn't we know about it through growing up years if no one taught us about how mind's attention moves away from the present time when we get curious about rising distractions? This isn't a subject we learned about in school. So indeed, this is not taught in school. We go to school and we learn a whole bunch of all sorts of things, but no one really talks about how the mind really works, how the mind moves from one attention to another based on arising distractions or whatever the mind comes to contact with. So without accurate knowledge, we will struggle to keep pleasant feelings going and try to stop painful feelings from arising by force. This push and pull of the mind takes a lot of energy and more suffering arises as a result. But we can change this by playing the Nevermind game. When something unpleasant grabs our mind, immediately we should think, never mind, let it go, relax, smile, and come back to the present time with a lighter mind. The more we let go and smile, the more we will begin to feel comfortable doing one task at a time and allow the universe to unfold things without becoming exhausted. We will stop trying to make things happen our way. When we let go and allow what is natural to occur, we will experience contentment. This is the beginning of a really good change. We will unexpectedly find ourselves accepting things as they are more often, instead of taking things too personally and continuing to stubbornly react to external context. So here is quite important to understand when it's, I guess, more importantly to understand this is a process. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to retrain our mind using this mind management tool called the Nevermind Game. And if we continuously play this game in the exact same order, the process of never mind, let go, relax, smile, and come back to the present time, what's happening is we are basically rewiring or retraining the mind to respond differently to any external context that we encounter. So it's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, but with enough mindfulness, with right effort, with practice, we gradually, it's a gradual process, we will gradually see change occur in a natural manner. And then we will let go more and stop trying to control anything that happens and just let things happen naturally. And then we will start to see a sense of relief or more relief. In here, Venerable Khema says contentment, which is true, feel like we are less bothered by, of course, things will still happen. There will always be all sorts of things that we will come into contact with, but we will find that by playing this game, by retraining our mind, using this mind management tool again and again and again, we will reach a point someday where it's like anything is just never mind. Okay, so Q is curious. What's really happening? Why do we feel better? And Venerable Khema says, it's because we are beginning to look more closely at what is essential and respond to life as needed. And this is more supportive for ourselves and others. We are beginning to see the interrelationship between our practice and distractions that happen in life. These distractions are not something for us to push down, order around, or crush with the mind. They are our teachers. They should be respected because they are pointing out for us where our craving lies. If we don't allow them to come up, we won't ever discover what craving actually is. After all, if we don't know what craving is or how it feels, how can we let it go? So again, this comes back to the earlier section where we read earlier, where Venerable Kema says, well, the first step really is knowing the difference between an unwholesome mind and a wholesome mind. If we don't know the difference, how do we know when to let go of the unwholesome mind? And in the same way, it's like, if we don't know, or sorry, if we continuously try to push down our distractions when they come up, we just try to either push them away, or here Venerable Kema says, crush with the mind, try to suppress those distractions because we don't want them to come up. The more we do that, actually, the more we are really, in a sense, running away. And we're not really trying to understand where they are coming from. So a lot of times the distractions actually, here Venerable Kema indicates they are our teachers. Why? Because it is through understanding the distractions, why they arise, is they really are kind of like the pointer, kind of like an indicator. There is where I have my habitual craving tendency when such a condition arises. And it's different for everyone, because we all have different habitual tendencies. We've gone through different experiences in life at different times, and formed different perceptions, etc., etc. So it's different for everyone. So the important thing is to understand, when they arise, what do? We just never mind, let it go, relax, smile, and come back to the present task, present moment, present time. So Q says, that is a good point. Venerable Kema then continues. Craving is that bossy, personally opinionated little mind that jumps up and causes the inner tension we feel as life unfolds. It's suddenly like something, and then we want to hold it in our mind. Or it might be that we suddenly dislike something, so we try to push it away or suppress any arising aversion. Here again, when a distraction arises and we don't like it, we tend to push it away or suppress it. That is a common automatic reaction to something we don't like, whether it's physical pain, mental pain, mental suffering, grief. There is a sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya where the Buddha explained specifically in detail all the different kinds of suffering. Okay. So the best advice is to always remember a distraction can only become an obstruction if you engage it. So if we continue to hold on to, oh, that's a distraction, I don't like it, I want it to go away, please go away, or just don't come and disturb me. What we're actually doing in that moment is we are engaging in it. We are feeding the distraction to become even a bigger distraction. So let's stop indulging our distractions. Eventually, we should let go of all arising distractions without placing personal attention on them. At the point we stop feeding them, they will lose energy and stop coming up. So that's really how the mind works, the tendencies, the characteristics of the human mind, so to speak. Whenever we take something personally, whether it's a pleasant or painful feeling, what we're doing is really we are also feeding it attention. And when we do that, they get bigger and bigger, and then leads to habitual tendencies to react in a certain way, mental proliferation. So the looping in the mind goes on and on and on, creating stories, etc. So the moment we realize, oh, that's not really me, my, or mine, we let go. We say, never mind, let go, relax, smile, come back. And then eventually the distractions will lose their energy. Now, perhaps you begin to see the value in the idea of just saying, never mind, with a secret smile. Each time you let go, relax, smile, and come back, you will live more easily in the present time. You are beginning to accept the idea of giving up on things you cannot change. So that is a common saying that goes around, I think, in the internet. If I can remember very vaguely, a lot of people use it. It's like a prayer that people say. It's like a kind of well, for those who believe in, let's say, soul God or whatever, then they will say, please God, give me this, grant me the, I can't remember the exact details, maybe Pi or Paul, you may know better than me. It's something, it goes something along the line of, give me the strength or the courage to accept what I cannot change. And I can't remember, but anyway, it's very popular. If anyone can remember that quote, it's a very popular quote that a lot of people, put on Pinterest or Instagram and stuff like that about. It's like a prayer to themselves about, the courage to accept things that we cannot change. So when we begin to practice this more and more, we will begin to accept the idea of giving up on things we cannot change. This is a smart way to guard your mind. Through understanding how things work, mind calms down and begins to feel safe. This doesn't mean you don't work towards change when things are hurting people. So this is quite important to understand. It's quite different from saying, I can't change anything, so I give up on doing everything. That's not exactly what it means. Okay. Let me see some quote comment here. Yes, exactly. That was what I was looking for. Hi, thank you. Yes, so grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Yes, to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can, correct? Courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Yes, very popular, goes around a lot in the internet, a lot. So I'm sure a lot of people have heard this before. So accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Very important to know which things I cannot change and which things I can change. Thank you, Pi. So it doesn't mean we don't work towards change when things are hurting people. It means you do what is possible and not attempt what is impossible, only to collapse from exhaustion. So we need to know our limits. We need to have the wisdom, like the quote that Pi just shared, the wisdom to know the difference between what we can change and what we cannot change. That is important. Okay, concerning whether you are to face such things alone, there was some advice left for us all by various teachers throughout the history of spiritual pursuits. Okay. The 5 precepts and their relationship to distraction. So Venerable Khema here is going to go into the 5 precepts. So there were five pieces of sensible advice given to people living in the Buddha's time that he called 5 precepts. These remain untouched by time and still work perfectly today. And they work perfectly today because human beings still function in the same way. I mean, as in our the process, there's a word for it. Cycle. I forgot the word that Venerable Khema used to use. The process of how a human being registers information that come in through all our sense bases, that has not changed over time. And because of that, these 5 precepts still work perfectly today as well. Okay, so reciting them daily provides you with a protective framework. It's a framework. It's kind of like a protection for us to go about day to day more smoothly. So you are reminding yourself to guard the mind all the time while living life. They go like this. I undertake to keep the precept not to kill or harm any living beings on purpose. That's the first one. So the second one is, I undertake to keep the precept not to take what is not freely given. So anything that's not freely said to be okay, you can take it, we undertake to keep the precept not to take it. Okay, unless it's given freely. Okay, the third one, I undertake to keep the precept not to commit wrong sexual activity that causes mental or physical pain to myself or anyone else. So this is quite important, so we do not go around causing other people's let's say if there's a couple in a relationship, let's say we don't want to cause any wrong activities that will cause mental or physical pain either to ourselves or to others. Also for someone who is underage or still living under the guardianship of, let's say, their parents, for example, things like that. Yeah. The fourth one, I undertake to keep the precept not to tell lies, use harsh speech, spread untrue things through gossip, or speak slanderously to divide others, to divide people. In short, I will not promote nonsense talk. So here, telling lies is easy to understand. Harsh speech like cursing and swearing, which is getting more and more prevalent these days as well. Gossip or slander. I remembered Bante Vimala Ramsi, your sister Khema, Venerable Khema, used to explain it's really as simple as gossip is really as simple as imagine if the person you're talking about is standing next to you or is in the room, would you say the same thing? Basically, that's the easiest way to understand gossip. If we're not going to say the same thing, if that person's in the room, then that is considered gossip. Slanderously basically means speech where it's intentionally used to divide a group of people, to cause them not to like each other or have conflict with each other, something like that. So that is about 4th precept. Okay, the 5th one, I undertake to keep the precept not to use social, recreational drugs or alcohol that can cloud the mind and lead to breaking the other precepts. So the 5th one really is about helping us to protect and keep the first 4. So if one follows these precepts all the time, life will run smoothly. However, if you happen to break any of the precepts, there will be consequences from your actions in the form of distractions coming up in the mind. Okay, so it's important to understand here that precepts are not like commandments or anything. They're just a framework for us to lead a smoother life. Also, in terms of our practice, it will help keep the distractions at bay, so to speak. So this is kind of a mechanism or framework is a good word. I guess it's like a protective layer, so to speak, from distractions, because when distractions occur, it's very difficult for us to practice, right? Imagine if you've got like a gazillion distractions coming up during the day, or even in our formal meditation practice. It's like the whole time we're just trying to, it will be a very active working meditation, which is fine, but imagine gazillion distractions coming up to play, then the whole time we're just working hard to never mind, let it go, relax, smile, and come back to the task, and like constantly just doing that cycle because so many distractions come into play. And sometimes that is the case, whether we like it or not, and that becomes a really active working meditation, which is fine. It's not a bad thing, but we would like to get to a point where, because if that continues all the time, it can be a little bit tiring, and we would then need to have a huge amount of faith to be able to pull through, and continue in the practice. But if we want to progress and lead a more smoother life, then keeping the precepts will help a whole lot. So it's like some old sayings: what you put out, you get back, or what goes around comes around. These distractions make your life less harmonious. They might kick back at you. Payback might come at a later point in time. The key here is to always remember what you think and ponder on becomes the inclination of your mind. And what you do in the present time dictates what happens to you in the future. That word future can mean hours, years, or even lifetimes from now. So it's hard to say, and we don't know. And it all has to do with the causes and conditions that arise. So we can't predict when they arise, but what we can do is keep the precepts. So a little more about distractions. As sure as Newton's third law, which says for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every transgression we commit, there is an equal disturbance that comes back to us. I don't know anyone, so here's Venerable Khema, says she doesn't know anyone over 30 years old who has not experienced a consequence coming back around from some act of transgression they've committed when they were younger. Distractions will inevitably arise when the 5 precepts are not followed. The hindrances are 5 major types. When they visit you, they might come alone or as a group to disturb you. Okay, so what's the first hindrance? The first hindrance is lust and greed. And it represents the I like it and I want it mind, which leads to attachment with tension. For example, seeing something you really want and then being preoccupied with thinking about it continually, even if it is already in the past. That is attachment. Active attachment will not allow you to live in the present time. So what happens is we keep thinking about it, and then the mind keeps looping about it and get preoccupied with that thinking, and then mental proliferation keeps going. When that happens, we are no longer living in the present time. Second distraction, hatred and evil. So quite the opposite. So it represents the I don't like it, I don't want it mine, that leads to aversion, causes tension in the head. This is a seed for anger. So that's important to know. Third distraction, sloth or torpor. So that is when your energy goes down your interest drops away, you keep feeling tired, your posture slumps, or your face droops low. This is a sleepy, dull mind, so you can't think clearly or concentrate on what you are doing in the present time. So the Buddha, even in one particular sutta, I can't remember exactly which one, but I used to have a book which has all these so-called tips and tricks from the Buddha. He used to give tips on how to overcome when the mind gets to a dull, sleepy state. And I think there were like 10 steps. It's like, try this one first. If it doesn't work, if it does work, great. If it doesn't work, then try the next one and try the next one, try the next one, try the next one. And then finally, I think the last one is like, well, maybe your body just needs to rest. So you go rest. But yeah, he did give steps and tips on how to overcome sloth and torpor. Okay, number 4, fourth distraction, restlessness, guilt, remorse. Can lead to anxiety and depression. And this is interesting because depression seems to be very prevalent in today's society as well. So this manifests as unordered movements of the body, such as tapping hands or feet, restless leg movements, or frequent changes of your sitting position. So we need to be a little bit mindful if we ever feel a bit restless. It could be, again, not keeping our precepts so closely in the past, and so we need to forgive ourselves and then retake the precepts again. Fifth distraction, doubt, has many forms, but the most common one is lack of surety about how you are doing this practice, or in the form of questioning life in general, okay? Or questioning about the Dharma in general, right? So having knowledge about these 5 distractions is good. Keeping the 5 precepts will protect your mind from the hindrances arising. If you get up in the morning with a frown on your face, your thoughts will be affected by this attitude, and you are more likely to have a difficult day. However, if you get up with a smile and keep that attitude going, it will be a much nicer day and easier to notice. And never mind any distractions that come your way by continuing to play your game. We cannot experience real change by just stopping a behavior one time. We must replace the old pattern in order to purify and retrain mind. It's a good idea to start each day with a positive affirmation. Say the 5 precepts to yourself first thing in the morning and keep them uppermost in your mind. If you break one of the precepts accidentally, you should counter this quickly by running through them once again in your mind. Say them softly to yourself. Then try not to break that one again. Don't be hard on yourself or beat yourself up if you fail to do so. It does you no good to wallow in the sadness of breaking a precept. In fact, dwelling on your mistakes only feeds your distractions for the future. Now that's interesting and also important to know. So if we don't recognize that, oh, we've broken a precept, and if we don't immediately, tell ourselves, okay, I forgive myself for not being mindful of breaking a precept, and then take the precepts again and move on from there. If we don't do that, if we continue to ponder and, oh, why did I break a precept? Oh, I feel like I'm a terrible person, blah, 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 blah. What we're actually doing in that process is we're feeding our distractions even more. So it's very important to move on by recognizing what's happened. Never mind, play the Nevermind game, forgive ourselves, and then retake the precepts again. So Venerable Khema here says the same thing. So instead, recognize what happened, forgive yourself, let it fall into your past, and then keep on going positively with a smile. Repeating the precepts again helps your meditation run smoothly. Okay, so we'll stop here. Note 3 on unprotected or protected mind. We can continue next week. It's also just about almost 1 hour, the reading. So we shall stop here. I will stop this share for now and like to invite anyone who's dialed in today, if you have any comments or questions that you would like to share, any thoughts about today's reading. Today's reading really is a quick kind of, you can see the tone. Venerable Kema is getting to the end of the book. Chapter 9 indeed is last chapter. I think chapter 10 just talks about a scorecard that we can keep. But you can see the tone is kind of towards summarizing what the game is, how to apply it in daily life. And today we've just touched first half of chapter 9, but really going through what the distractions are and why it's important to keep the precepts to keep those distractions at bay. Any questions, any comments here? Anyone? Yes, no? I see Brother Sachin Ji, you are dialed in today. That's great. Thank you for joining us. Just wondering if you might have any comments or anything you would like to share, or anyone else who's dialed in. It doesn't have to be, oh, hang on. Someone in the chat. Sometimes a mind that sees lots of connections can be beneficial. I'm not sure I follow, Pai. Can you elaborate a little bit more what you meant by that? So I'm just assuming that you're typing something in the chat. Okay. Intelligent people can spark a lot of connections between disparate ideas. Yes, that is true. Yes. Not just intelligent people. I mean, I recently, well, because of work, had to, and some people may have heard of this, we have all these kind of different tests that we can do. And one of those tests is called the Clifton Strength Finder, where, we answer a bunch of questions, I think 100 odd questions or so. And we're not meant to ponder on each question. We're meant to like really just answer each question within a couple of seconds. And then it will, at the end of the test, it will tell you, okay, these are your top 5 strengths, blah, blah, blah. And one of the traits, one of the strengths, they have like 100 odd strengths. One of the strengths is connector. And another one is relatedness. But yeah, it's very similar. Some people have these strengths where they can seem to see, different things, different ideas, different people put in the same room can actually be connected. Yes, MBTI as well, Myers-Briggs, correct. There are people like that. I'm not exactly sure if it's only intelligent people can do that. I think it's more of a, you can say personality type, or just how we're all wired differently, basically. And nowadays, people in the workplace, they use these kind of tests, not only in the workplace, actually, in general, in a team setting. INTP. Yeah, INTP. I had connectedness in my top 5, and I'm an INFJ, so yeah, some people, yeah, find it easily able to do that. I guess it's doing this test is more when in a team setting, people want to understand how to get the team to collaborate with each other a little bit better, and also have that kind of understanding that everyone in the team is wired differently, differently. And again, it comes down to when we come into contact with through the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body or mind objects, mind thoughts, we all will see it. The feeling that arises from that for all of us will be different. Some of us will same contact, some of us will like it, some of us will not like it, some of us will have no liking or disliking feeling towards it, and from that feeling the craving, the personalization comes into play. So yeah, as the saying goes, one man's food is another man's poison, kind of thing. It's a similar kind of concept. So the more we are able to understand how the mind works, how the whole psychoanalysis structure of a human being works, and how we are all wired different based on our past experiences, coming into contact with different things, the more we can understand that, the more we can accept what we cannot control, what we cannot change. As what we mentioned earlier. What was it again? Let me read it again. Accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And the more we can do that, the more we will find more contentment in our lives, the more we will be able to live our life more smoothly, our relationship with ourselves and those around us will improve. And yeah, generally it will be a more positive way of living life. Okay, great. Thank you, Pai, for sharing that and sharing the quote earlier. It was very quick, so thank you for that. So if there are no other questions or comments, we can wrap up today's session and continue the rest of chapter 9 next week. I will look for, let me share the sharing of merits sheet, just a minute. Sharing merits, here we go. Okay. Let me share the screen. Share screen. Sharing merits. Okay, so let's share merits together. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, everyone, for dialing in today. I hope you enjoyed today's reading. And we will continue the rest of chapter 9 about what the mind states are, the different mind states are, and how to recognize them. Excellent. Wishing everyone good health, happiness always. Have a great week ahead. See you guys next week. Thank you. Thanks for dialing in.
I appreciate your patience in reading this book continuously on Sundays. Good. Continue to do. Keep it up.
Not a problem. Actually, I think I benefit from it more myself.
Good, good, good,
If I can
excellent.
say so, selfishly. I know I know it's meant to be a service, but actually by reading it, I think I benefit a lot myself. So
It,
because it's a good reminder every week to practice this
yes, yes,
Nevermind, let it go, smile, relax, come back. So that's really helpful. I hope everything's going well for you.
yes, yes, fine. Everything is fine here.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, next week we will most likely wrap up the book reading, and then I will send out, an invite. Pai suggested maybe inviting Bante, Dhamma Gavesi to come talk the week after. So I'll ask Bante if he has time. If not, I will, start to nudge some of the other speakers through WhatsApp and see who's available on the, let me see, that would be the week after. So that would be the 10th of March. We'll see how we go. It's 2 weeks
Yes,
away.
yes, May. Wishing you all happiness and wishing all happiness to all. Thank you.
Do something.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.